All Blacks. Joe Schmidt gives candid description on coaching against his former team. Wallabies head coach Joe Schmidt has admitted that coaching against his former team, the All Blacks, during this year's Rugby Championship will feel strange. Having worked with the All Blacks coaching staff in 2022 and 2023, Schmidt is now leading the Wallabies as head coach. He shared how facing New Zealand in the highly anticipated Bledisloe Cup opener in Sydney on Saturday feels like a unique challenge. If you're a fan of the All Blacks, write "Go All Blacks" in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Schmidt played a significant role under Ian Foster as an assistant coach for the All Blacks, contributing to their journey to last year's Rugby World Cup in France, where they ultimately lost to South Africa. But after that, Schmidt left New Zealand's coaching team to step into Eddie Jonas' shoes as Australia's head coach. While Schmidt was well-liked in the All Blacks camp, and he's still in touch with some of his former players and others from his time coaching Ireland from 2013 to 2019, he acknowledged that it's going to be a bit awkward going up against his former side. Schmidt told reporters, "I've had a lot to do with those players recently. It's probably similar to going to the World Cup and coaching against Ireland, or when I was called in a couple of years ago to coach at Eden Park against players I worked with for 10 years. He admitted that building relationships with those players creates a strong respect, making it awkward. Still, he has to stay loyal to his current team, the Wallabies, and he knows the players understand that too. After all, they're used to facing each other in a national sense, even if they've been teammates in Super Rugby. With this first face-off of the 2024 Bledisloe Cup on the horizon, Schmidt remains realistic about the challenge. He respects the firepower that the All Blacks have and knows their strengths up front. "I'm pretty sure the Australian players already know what they're up against," he added. As the All Blacks' former attack coach, Schmidt spent a lot of time with their backline, making him more aware of what the Wallabies will be facing. One notable decision from current All Blacks coach Scott Robertson for the match was selecting Barrett at fullback while moving Will Jordan out of that position. Schmidt said he understands the thought process behind Robertson's move. He praised Barrett for his experience, kicking game, and his ability to be a guiding voice in the backfield. "He can be a really good foil for Damian McKenzie from my experience," Schmidt noted. Barrett's skill set allows him to play as a secondary playmaker, adding a dynamic layer to the All Blacks attack. He went on to comment about how close the All Blacks came to winning the Rugby World Cup last year, narrowly losing by a point to South Africa after playing a chunk of the match with only 14 players. "That's how tight the margins were," Schmidt said. "That shows how good they are. It's a reminder to keep our Wallaby boys sharp." What do you think? Will the Wallabies have what it takes to overcome the All Blacks in Sydney? Or will the All Blacks retain their dominance? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all the latest All Blacks news, match previews, and exclusive interviews. We appreciate your support. Australia v All Blacks. Joe Schmidt ignores pleas to include overseas-based stars as Wallabies get timely double boost. Joe Schmidt has named his 36-player squad for the upcoming tests against New Zealand as part of the Rugby Championship and Bledisloe Cup. This is big news because, while there's a lot of excitement building up, Schmidt has decided to ignore the calls for including overseas-based stars. Yep, the only player coming from abroad is Marika Koroibete, and many fans have been vocal about wanting to see more overseas talent in the squad. But it seems Schmidt's sticking to his guns with this decision, focusing on the local talent he's already built around. If you are a fan of the All Blacks, write "Go All Blacks" in the comments and subscribe to the channel. So, what's been going on? Well, Australia is coming off a bit of a roller coaster against Argentina in their Rugby Championship clashes. After a tight 20-19 win in the first match, they suffered a tough 67-27 defeat in the second game. Not the result they were hoping for, especially with the Bledisloe Cup on the horizon. But there's good news for the Wallabies too. Flanker Fraser McReight and center Hunter Paisami are both returning from injury, which is a major boost to the squad's chances. McReight's return is particularly exciting. He had an impressive run of form back in July before fracturing his hand, and now he's ready to get back on the field. As for Paisami, he's tracking well and should be good to go for the return match in Wellington, even though he's still a bit of a doubt for the opening game in Sydney. If these two can hit the ground running, it could make a big difference in the Wallabies' fortunes. Meanwhile, Flanker Liam Wright is still struggling with a shoulder injury, and he's just one of several key players on Australia's injury list, including Kurt Beale, David Parecki, and Rob Leota. So, there are definitely some hurdles ahead for Schmidt's men. Now, let's talk about the squad itself. Aside from McRae and Pius Amos' return, Schmidt's lineup has remained pretty consistent throughout the year, which is no surprise given the emphasis on building team cohesion. Two uncapped players, Corey Toole and David Feliui, have also been included. Toole is a winger, while Feliui is an inside center, and both are looking to make a big impression if they get the chance. Even though Schmidt has resisted calls to follow the Springboks and Pumas policy of bringing in more overseas players, the inclusion of WABY shows he's willing to make some exceptions. But overall, this squad is very much about homegrown talent. What do you think about that decision? Let me know in the comments below. Is Schmidt right to focus on the local talent pool, or should he have cast the net wider? Speaking of which, there's been quite a bit of talk from former Wallabies about how Australia could benefit from bringing in more overseas stars, much like the way South Africa and Argentina have done. It's a hot topic right now, especially with the Rugby Championship heating up. But Schmidt seems pretty confident in his strategy, so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out on the field. The Wallabies are desperate to regain the Bledisloe Cup, which they last won way back in 2002, and they're facing an all-black side that's been ruthless throughout the season. Will this decision pay off, or could it end up being a missed opportunity? So what's next? Well, the Wallabies will be assembling in Sydney this Sunday to prepare for the first match at Accor Stadium, which kicks off next Saturday. After that, they'll head over to New Zealand for the return clash in Wellington. It's shaping up to be an intense couple of weeks for both teams. We've seen the Wallabies start strong in some of their recent matches, only to falter in the closing stages. Schmidt himself has talked about how disappointing their last 40 minutes were against Argentina, so you can bet they'll be looking to turn that around in front of what should be a huge crowd in Sydney. If the Wallabies can take the win in that first test, it'll set them up nicely for the return leg in Wellington. But as we all know, beating the All Blacks is never easy, especially with the form they've been showing this year. And it's not just the fans that will be keeping a close eye on this series. There's a lot at stake for both teams as they prepare for the Rugby World Cup. Hey race, a look at the WABY Squad for the Bledisloe Cup. Forwards, 19 Alan Alaalatoa, Angus Bell, Josh Canham, Matt Fessler, Nick Frost, Langi Gleeson, Tom Hooper, Isaac Kailea, Fraser McRae, Josh Nasser, Brandon Panga Mosa, Tom Robertson, Lukhan Salakaioloto, James Slipper, Carlo Tizzano, Taniela Tupou, Rob Valaini, Jeremy Williams, Harry Wilson. Backs, 17 Ben Donaldson, David Feliui, Josh Flook, Jake Gordon, Len Ikataw, Max Jorgensen, Andrew Kellaway, Marika Koroibete, Noah Lolizio, Tom Linak, Tate McDermott, Hunter Paisami, Dylan Peach, Hamish Stewart, Corey Toole, Nick White, Tom Wright. The injury list is also something to watch out for. Kurt Beale, Charlie Cale, Filippo Dagunu, Harry Johnson-Holmes, Bailey Quenzel, Rob Leota, Lachlan Lonergan, David Parecki, Blake Shupp, Liam Wright. Alright, that's the latest news on the WABY Squad and the upcoming Bledisloe Cup matches. If you're excited about these games and want to stay up to date with everything All Blacks, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. We've got loads of exciting content coming your way, and you won't want to miss it. Before we wrap up, what do you think about Joe Schmidt's decision to stick with mainly local players? Should he have included more overseas-based talent? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for more All Blacks updates.